We all make mistakes when it comes to investing in the stock market. It's a way that we learn. It's a way that we grow. Leave your biggest mistake down in the comment section below. So not only that I can read them, but other viewers of the video, they can go through and learn from each of our mistakes.
Kane is in the building.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. My name is Brandon, and on this channel, we talk about all types of investment topics, but in today's video, we're going to be going over a few deadly mistakes that investors make, and more importantly, how you can personally avoid them. And what's really cool about this video is that we're going to have mistakes ranging from very, very beginner, very, very elementary, to actually some mistakes that even some intermediate, even some experienced investors will find themselves making. And hopefully by the end of this video, you can either identify some of these mistakes that you may currently be making or flat out just try your best to avoid them. I will just say that, as always, if you do enjoy the videos on the channel, if you're enjoying the content, feel free to give it a thumbs up. That is an awesome way of showing your support for the channel. But let's start with mistake number one that investors make when it comes to the stock market. And this is the simple mistake of waiting too long to invest. And I can guarantee there are a number of you watching this video. Whether you feel that you're too young, you feel like you're busy with school, you don't have enough money, you're busy with the kids, you're waiting for your house to sell. There are a million excuses that someone can make for pushing off investing. And not only is that costing you money, literally, when you actually factor in compound interest and how your investments grow over time, not only is that every month or every year you push back investing, you're literally leaving money on the table, you're also missing out on a lot of valuable experience. And even if it's 6 months that you decide, hey, I'm going to wait till the new year to start investing, or I'm going to wait till, like I said, I get this payment, or, my divorce goes through, whatever your situation is, you could potentially be missing out on some very valuable days, weeks, months in the market where you do get to experience the ups and downs of things, what it feels like to be an investor, the emotions that are tied to things, the habits that you can instill by going in and simply getting started. And then, of course, you do have the monetary aspect of things where when you actually look at the power of compound interest and what it can do for you over time, it's not an exaggeration to say that every month, every year you push off investing, you are actually leaving thousands, tens of thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands of dollars in wealth on the table by simply pushing it off. So the first mistake, that's for somebody that hasn't even started yet, but it's a mistake that far too many of us make. It's waiting too long to get started with investing. The second one is one that is very dear to me. It's one that I touch on all the time on the channel, but that is investing without a proper plan or without a proper strategy. In other words, opening up a brokerage account and essentially just picking stocks for the sake of picking them because you read about them online, not having a proper balance, a proper asset allocation in terms of how your money is going to be invested, how it's going to be spread out. The analogy that I'll give to that all the time is like if you're building a house, as they'll say in many cases, you need to start with a foundation. You have to lay the foundation first, then you can work up. Then you can get to the subtleties of what colors you're going to paint the walls and how you're going to decorate your interior and the rooms. You need to have a strong base. Otherwise, down the road, when stuff hits the fan, when we do enter into these rough patches in the market, that's when an investor will really wish they did have the proper balance in terms of their assets, in terms of having their foundation laid when it comes to the balance of their portfolio, because somebody that doesn't have that, they're probably going to get hit pretty hard when the time does come. The third tip is one that you'll see a lot with traders, a lot with beginner investors. I feel like this always happens with penny stocks and these riskier stocks, but it's the mistake that thinking that a stock can't go down any further. And what I'm talking about here is, let's say we have what we call a falling knife. We have a stock that's just dropping and dropping. It's very common to say, well, the stock's already dropped 50%. So really, how much further could it drop? You want to know the answer to that? You probably don't want to know the answer to that, because a stock in theory could continue dropping lower and lower and lower. And it's a very, very big mistake when an investor looks at the share price. Like, for example, if a stock was trading at $100, it went down to 75, it went down to 50, 25. At this point, you may be thinking it's lost 75% of its value. It can't go any lower. It sure can. It could drop from 25, it could drop down to 12, down to 7, down to $2. In theory, it could drop to 0. And what can be very, very dangerous is when you try to double down on your investments, when you try to dollar cost average on a falling position because you think you found the bottom and you end up deploying more money than you should. Maybe you overextend yourself because, hey, a stock's dropped so much, how much further could it drop? They can continue dropping till the stock hits 0. It's a very, very dangerous thing. And this does tend to happen, again, with penny stocks, with smaller cap stocks. It's quite common that when you look at the numerical value, it really triggers differently in our minds when you see a stock drop from $100 to $50 than a stock that drops from $2 to $1. The dollar amount is so different, but that's still a 50% decline in both cases. If you invested in your position, you'd be down 50% on both of those, although one would feel significantly less painful than the other. Point number 3 is that stocks can go down and they can keep going down. Make sure you understand that. Moving on to number 4, and this is for an investor that maybe has their assets with a bank. Maybe you're investing in some sort of fund or some sort of managed product, and that is not understanding the fees that you're paying. And what I'm talking here most commonly is the MERs, the management expense ratios that apply with the funds that you own. And this is a tricky one in the sense that I am an advocate that paying for professional management, let's say on a mutual fund, let's say you're paying for advice with management of your portfolio, for the right person who's busy with their daily lives and who doesn't care for this type of thing, it is very well worth it. At least it can be very well worth it. There's not a problem with paying a 2-3% fee if it's providing you the value that you need as an investor. Now, what I'm talking about is when you don't know what you're paying and when there's a suitable or a better alternative out there that you could very easily be shifting to and saving, in many cases, thousands and thousands of dollars on fees. And it's crazy to me when you think about people who really don't even realize that with their mutual funds at the bank, that the bank is technically taking off, or the fund provider is technically taking off a little bit month after month, year after year. They're essentially skimming a bit of that off as part of their management fee. The fact that you don't pull out your credit card, the fact that you don't actually write a check to the fund provider, that alone has many people overlooking the fact that you actually are paying fees. It's very crucial to go online, look at your products that you own, speak with your advisor or whoever's managing your investments, and really dial in on exactly how much in terms of percentages and dollar amounts that you are paying for your products, and learn or at least explore the options if you can find a cheaper alternative. So that's the 4th mistake, is people completely neglecting or not even knowing that they're paying fees on their managed products. Now, point number 5, which we got 2 points left for this video, and we are evolving now to some more experienced investors, people that have been doing this for a little while. Mistake number 5 is getting too caught up with the information that's released, with the articles online, with the quarterly earnings, with the news, with the media. Too many investors, especially the more sophisticated, especially the smarter ones who do keep an eye on everything that's going on in our economy and online and the news, too many of them act on that and make unnecessary, and I'd say actually irrelevant, actually harmful moves in their portfolio, trying to essentially play every piece of news that they hear out on the media. And I think to, for example, a company like McDonald's, which is a stock that I've owned for a number of years. Over the past 8 or so years that I've actively owned the stock, I went out and did the math here. Every quarterly report, so every 3 quarters, that's 4 quarterly reports per year, times 8, that's 32 quarterly reports that has been released on one of my companies that I own. If I were to have gone out and made a move in my portfolio based on every negative report that said McDonald's blows their earnings, they slash revenues and forecasts, the company is not looking promising, it's looking promising, or anytime I heard an analyst upgraded or downgraded the stock, I would almost certainly have done far worse than what I did from simply laying back and letting the stock do its thing. The question that I ask myself all the time when it comes to news and these sources regarding a stock that I own is this material truly relevant? Is it something that is going to impact my company 5, 10, 15 years down the road? And 95 to 99% of the time, an article that you come across online probably isn't. Now, there is the odd time where there is a material change that does matter, and it may impact my investment decisions, my investment thesis on a particular company. But 99% of the time, worrying about the earnings, stressing out about every analyst upgrade, downgrade that you hear, the mistake that I find there is that you may actually be getting too involved, a little bit over involved. And my advice would be to just keep it simple, take a step back, and go out and buy companies that aren't going to be impacted, that you don't have to worry about every single earnings report. If you're investing in good businesses, those type of things honestly don't really matter. Now, moving on to the fifth or sixth, the final mistake for this video, and this is one that I really want to preach. This is probably my favorite of the video. That's why we save it for last. It is not confusing a bull run, or let's take, for example, the past 10 years of this market, which has been very prosperous, not mistaking that for you being an extremely skillful investor. And if you're somebody that has been investing for the past, like I said, decade, if you've invested at all during this time, we have gone through a very, very nice period in terms of growth. And as I always like to say, in these types of periods, if you're not making money in equities, then you're doing something wrong. Because I really do believe that if you got a monkey and you taught him how to use the mouse and click on a quest trade thing and go out and buy a stock, if he went out and bought a few stocks in a bull market, the odds are that they'd probably do quite well. It's not hard to make money when stocks are pushing up, when equities are performing well, and people have confidence in the market, and it just keeps driving and just inflating and pushing this market up. It's not hard to do that. The mistake that people would make is, instead of realizing, hey, this was more of a macro trend working in my favor, people that think that they are just the best stock pickers out there, and hey, I made X% in this growth stock, I'm so good at identifying companies and reading the reports and picking out gems in the market, that is a very, very deadly mistake. And I think that over the next number of years, a lot of investors will learn that lesson. I mean, for the past 10 years, it's been nothing but growth. So of course, it just kind of builds and it grows on your confidence. You think you're good. But as we are shifting here to a bit of a reversal in the market, there's a quote by Warren Buffett. It's actually one of my favorite quotes. It's that it's only when the tide goes out that we see who was really swimming naked. In other words, when the market is pushing up, or when everything's good, when everyone's out swimming in the tide, all is fine. There's actually another saying that a rising tide lifts all boats. In other words, when things are going well, everyone's going to be good. Everyone's going to be making money. But it's only when the markets shift, it's only when we do enter this recession, we do have a turn of the tables, that we really see who had a structured portfolio, who was taking profits, who was managing their risk and their downside. Because all of these gains that a skillful investor may think they're making, and they're out making more bets and they're just trying to amplify these returns, those could be wiped out very, very quickly if you do come in with the overconfidence that, hey, I really know what I'm doing in picking these stocks, rather than understanding that there may have been a bit of a boost in the market that was helping out with your overall returns. But those are a few of mistakes that I just had noted down, some of the ones that I thought about, and hopefully there were a couple in there that were new to you, that you hadn't come across. I do try throwing in some new and unique ones in every video, just to share some new perspective and a different angle on investing. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to give this one a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. I would really like to hear some of your mistakes that you've personally made, that you've seen out there. Leave them down in the comment section below. I will read them all. As always, if you are a beginner to the stock market and you're looking for an all-in-one place to learn where you can go step by step in getting your account set up, learning how to build your portfolio, learning all the basics, all the different strategies, dividends, you name it, click that first link down in the description below. You can learn more about our investing academy. We're helping beginners do this every day. But as always, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.